Blessed are we because we get to talk about Immaculate, the Sydney Sweeney nun-exploitation film. This is a non-spoiler review, but there is so much about this movie that is so insane that my good friend Tim Grierson here and I are going to do a whole separate spoiler conversation that's going to be out next week. So keep an eye out for that. But Tim, welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to see you. As a Catholic, I'm very excited to be talking about this movie, which is 100% accurate to the Bible.
I used to be Catholic. I remember some stuff. It's all in there somewhere.
That's how I am too. That's my level of expertise. I was joking to a friend the other day. It's like, wait, they changed these prayers? Nobody told me.
Anyway, we're going to get into all of it, but you got to subscribe because great friends like Tim Grierson stop by to help out with reviews, and it's always a treat to see them, so we would love to have you. Tim, what is Immaculate about?
I know God saved me for a reason, but I guess I'm still searching for what that reason is.
Yes, so this movie stars Sydney Sweeney, who is back with director Michael Mohan. A couple years ago, they made a movie called The Voyeurs. So this is not exactly like that movie. Sydney Sweeney plays Cecilia, who is a nun who has just traveled from outside Detroit, Michigan to Italy. Her parish closed down because of financial issues, and so she's been recruited for this sort of ancient Italian nunnery, and she's basically the only American who's there. She doesn't know Italian very well, but she's so honored to be there. She's one of the newest members of the habit. She's one of the youngest. She feels a little homesick. She doesn't feel very welcomed by the kind of judgy nuns who are there, but her religious spirit is very pure, very true. She wants to be the best nun that she can be. Some weird things start to happen almost immediately at the nunnery. And one of the weirdest is that she starts feeling really sick. Did she eat something weird? What is going on? Well, it turns out that even though she's a virgin, she is with child, which is not how it normally works.
Hence the name.
Hence the name Immaculate. And so Sydney Sweeney's character is trying to figure out exactly what is going on. What is even weirder is that not only has this happened, but it seems like other nuns are confused because one of them says, it should have happened to me. And Cecilia doesn't understand, why should it have happened to any of us? There are a lot of twists and a lot of turns, but I think we should stop there for a non-spoiler conversation to say that is the opening salvo of what Immaculate is. You said nunsploitation, and I think this is a horror movie, obviously, but it has some like darkly comic moments. There should be from the audience a sense of, okay, something weird's going on, and you almost want to be ahead of the movie and its characters going, okay, can we figure out what the thing is? What's going on? Can we figure out, like, this guy seems kind of creepy, that gal seems kind of creepy, what exactly is going on? If you've seen Rosemary's Baby, I think that helps a lot from watching the movie. So the movie doesn't have to be great. There can be kind of a trashy fun to the quality of this type of movie. My big issue is that I don't think it's actually very trashy fun. I think it's actually just kind of dumb and kind of predictable. And so even like the gory stuff in the movie, yeah, there's some gory stuff in it, but most of the scares I found pretty predictable and kind of perfunctory jump scare sort of stuff. So I never really kind of got into that mode of, this is trashy fun, let's enjoy it. And we were in a pretty big packed theater, and it felt pretty dead, which I think is sort of indicative of the fact that the movie is not as fun as it should be.
Oh, interesting, because I thought it was super fun. And I agree that there are too many jump scares because I think the director establishes enough of a mood, like a gothic mood from the get-go, that something is amiss here, that he doesn't have to rely on jump scares. That feels cheap and unnecessary. And then once it finally gets going and gets really gonzo, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And I feel like he does all of that very effectively. There's a very, very long take at the end in which the camera like holds on her face the whole time. And I thought that was really effective. And throughout, she's capable of carrying us just with her presence, with her eyes. She's our conduit into this bizarre world, this dark world. And so I think she's very effective in this central role. I guess she wanted to make this movie like 10 years ago and now has the clout to do it. And as you mentioned, she's a producer and a star of it. So I thought it was moody and fun for a while. I dug it. And I think this is going to piss people off. I think this is going to piss off a lot of very devout Catholics, given what happens with some of the iconography in this film. I think if you don't know that this is a horror movie and you just see Sydney Sweeney's beautiful face in the posters and the billboards, you don't realize that this is going to get really insane. Like, I can imagine possibly an F cinema score here along the lines of like Mother. It reminded me of Mother as it went along.
Well, I don't want to name a mutual friend of ours, but I will also take the $20 bet because that's not going to. It's not going to happen. It'd be the easiest $20 I would ever take.
Do you think so? You think people know what it is? Really? Okay. All right.
Because I will take the Field versus an F. Because that is so hard. You really the thing about I think most people who will go to this movie are going to know it's not anyone but you. It's not a rom-com. I think most people are going to know it's a horror movie, and I think also because it premiered at South by Southwest, and there was enough like, oh man, there's some crazy stuff that happens in this movie that came out of the festival. I think people will go. There'll be enough of an audience that will go and being like, oh boy, I can't wait to see what this is going to be.
Okay.
I think that they though. I'd be curious if that audience, though, is going to be like, oh, it wasn't quite as crazy as I was hoping it was going to be.
Interesting.
There's some crazy stuff. And again, careful of spoilers. The last shot, I give them a lot of credit, and especially Sydney Sweeney, a lot of credit for really going for it in the last scene. I think that we're still at this point in her career where people are like, well, I see her on social media a lot. Is she actually a good actor? And I think that she is a good actor. I liked her in The White Lotus. I liked her in Reality. I've never seen Euphoria, so I'll put that to the side. But I hear she's also good in that too. But I think she's been good in this stuff. I didn't love her in Anyone But You, but that wasn't entirely her fault. I think she is solid in this. I think that to go back to Rosemary's Baby, I don't think she's got that quality that Mia Farrow had of making you feel so paralyzed with helplessness that you cannot. This poor woman is beset by evil on all sides, and she feels so trapped in that movie. I think Sydney Sweeney I think she's a little too overwrought in this film at times. But the ending made me go, oh, that's gutsy. And I think that moment works. And so I'm still very much on board with Sydney Sweeney, kind of using whatever power she has at such a young age to make stuff that she wants to make and work with filmmakers that she wants to work with and producing stuff. I think that's kind of great. I think her track record is maybe a little kind of hit or miss, but put it this way. I didn't end up liking this movie, but I don't want it to bomb because I would like for her career to continue and for her to continue to have success, though it's not entirely original because it's very Rosemary's Baby. It's very 1970s Italian horror. There's elements and echoes of that.
Handmaid's Tale. There's some Handmaid's Tale stuff here with like women's body autonomy.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, don't you see? This is about today. I mean, there's definitely
making a statement.
It's definitely making a statement. It is an original. It's not based on something else, and so I tend to be more sympathetic or like rooting for those types of movies to be successful, so that original films can still be made. And so I don't want this to bomb. I want it to be successful, even though I think it is too derivative. I think some of the side performances are really kind of like one note, like, oh, blank redacted character is definitely a bad guy. There is absolutely no question that. And there's a lot of that, I think, in the movie too.
But mentioning supporting characters, though, I want to mention a couple people. Sister Isabel was played by Giulia Heathfield de Renzi, and she's just like mean from the get-go. Like she is not welcoming, and that is funny every time. Like in a movie that I did not expect to laugh, I laughed every time she opened her mouth because she's just so mean to this person the whole time. And I also like Benedetta Porcaroli as Sister Gwen, who is the one other young nun who befriends her and is kind of a smart ass and is kind of like literally irreverent.
I've never joined a nunnery for obvious reasons, but I feel like the clue in these types of movies is find the nun who smokes
Yep,
That's
she's the
gonna
cool
be
one.
that's gonna be your cool. Like she doesn't play by the rules. She smokes. That's how you can tell. As opposed to the other nun, which I did have like a mean nun's reaction to, where it's just kind of like, I'm just a jerk like the whole time.
I don't
Where
like you.
I wanted the movie to kind of lean more into that trashiness. I found myself being like, that's what's fun. It doesn't have to be campy, but a little more of a self-awareness about this is the genre in which we're working in. Though, to be fair to the movie, because there are some like serious themes, and you kind of alluded to them, Christy, there are some like serious themes in the movie that the movie does want to talk about. So maybe making it too campy would have worked against that.
But it gets there eventually, does it not?
It does eventually get there. I will also say this movie involves catacombs, and the catacombs are not as fun as I wanted them to be either. I was a little bummed about the catacombs.
I'm sorry.
In this movie. Why did the catacombs work for you?
No. I thought that was kind of a drag as well. It's just like, here's one, and then here's one, and then here's one. And it's supposed to be building up tension, but it just feels a little repetitive.
Yes,
so what is your number then?
I give it a 5. Listen, folks, when you are walking backwards, like stepping backwards, and you think you're okay, just look behind you. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Like have those like blue blocker or whatever sunglasses where you can see behind you. I gave it a 5.
Okay, I'm going to say 7 because it gets really crazy and fun, but it drags a bit until then. And I like her performance. Okay, stick around. Our spoiler review is coming up. Thank you, Tim Grierson. You're the best.